I'm always on the lookout for good deals, especially for relatively rare and obscure things, and I think I just found something cost me a whole $10. This is a gadget that, when it was new, made by Sony, when this was new, it was, I think it was about $150 US. In Canada, if I remember when I first saw it, because I would have loved to have bought one, but for the steep price that it was, I think it was like $189, something like that. It was too much. It was too much for what it is. And what it is it's a clock radio. I picked this up for $10. And the lady that sold it to me, she said, well, it doesn't keep time. Well, the reason it wasn't keeping time was because on the back here, there's a CR2032 backup battery that's got a screw that holds the cover shut. And of course it was dead. I just let the cat out of the bag when I turned that thing over, right? You see it's got all kinds of ports on the back, including a USB port and a memory stick and SD. Even has a place for an external AM antenna because it does not have an AM antenna in it. This is the FM antenna. It's AM FM stereo clock radio with a USB or memory card. And well, I'm going to plug it in and show you guys what it does. It's kind of neat. It's a clock radio, and I happen to like different types of timepieces. I'm always looking for something unique, and I think this is pretty unique if it'll actually turn on. There it goes. So it's got a 7-inch LCD screen, and it displays the time on a screen, but it also will display photos. And I've loaded up a bunch of my photos into the internal memory. It has 1 gig of internal memory that you can put photos or video. It'll play video as well, or music, and of course it will also play it from the SD card. But that's not all. You probably noticed this. iPod, iPhone. And this is why these ones are not worth anything today. Because of Apple. Because you see on the side here, it's got the original connector. I originally bought an iPod, and had Apple not changed the connector, I probably would have bought more Apple products, but I've got my old iPod. And this just, of course, happens to work because it's got the original iPod connector. The original Apple connector. Pop that on like that. And now, alarm is set. I haven't set it. But anyway, I gave you guys a quick demo of how this thing works. So basically, it's a photo frame that you can display your own photos or just have the stock photos. I mean, this thing, it's like new. The stickers haven't even been removed from it. This is in about as good a condition as you're ever going to want to find. See, you've got a microphone in it. You know, you can record voice memos on this. I haven't tried that yet, but you can record voice memos. So if your kid had one of these things in your room, you could record and say, "Get your ass out of bed, you lazy sack of," you know. You could record them a rude message and have that come on and yell at them in the morning, like a drill sergeant. Anyway, I figured I would just go over this little device because I think it's neat. As I say, I didn't buy it so much as a clock radio. This is not going to be on my nightstand, right? I have just a regular cheap GE blue LED clock radio that gets the job done, although the tactile switches are getting bad. I'll probably have to service it one of these days because I have to press the power button about 10 times to get the radio to shut off. But this was purchased more as a clock because you can sit it on a stand and it'll just display the time. And it's big enough that you can read it from across the room. Oh, you know what? I was hitting that button. Time set. Oh, okay. That is for setting the time. Okay, that's how that works. That's for setting the alarm clock time, right? You can press and hold this little switch and set the alarm. And there's one on the other side that sets the second alarm. That's what that's for. I didn't even notice that because I haven't really played around with it. And you turn them on and off. Like this case, this one's going to play music off the USB stick. This one, alarm 2, would play nature sounds. So if I want to set this, I'll set this back to 10:51 a.m. But we'll we'll set it for 1052. I've actually got it set to play a track off of the USB stick. So in a minute, this should start playing music. And you can turn the display off by tapping the snooze button. You can dim it down or turn it right down to the very, very minimum, which I don't know if you can see it now, but it's just barely bright enough to see in a dark room, and then it goes out. For those people that can't have any light on at all in their room. I think if I was to use this as an alarm clock, I could probably get by with it at the lowest setting without having it turned right off. But some people can't have any light on, and I've had people tell me that the light emitted by, they got it like a security system with a remote keypad in their bedroom, and the light from a single LED is enough to, there, it's going to start playing, is enough to keep them awake. There it goes. It's not turned up very loud, but there it goes. And I got to stop this before I get a copyright hit. It says wake up on the screen, wake up. So we'll shut that off by just pressing, and of course if I hit snooze, it'll shut it off for 10 minutes. And it tells you right there on the screen that it's snoozing for 10 minutes. And that'll count down as the time counts down. If I turn off the alarm, that should shut that all off. Okay, so when it's displaying the time in pictures, you have different brightnesses that you can set this to. Even like that one. And that's fairly dim. You can also turn the background picture off so it just displays the time, and then there's this one that's even dimmer, but this one will go out, say, after 5 seconds. It will fade right out, right there. There's your normal brightness. And you can display a single photo, or you can have it display a photo every 10 seconds or every 30 seconds or whatever. To operate it, I'll go through some of the operation on the unit. Alarm set, well, we figured that out by, I can do it this way. I can navigate down through here, alarm, and it'll tell you what song it's going to play. You can pick a specific song, so you can set it this way, and you can set what volume it is, or you can set alarm date every day, weekdays or weekends. So you can have a different time if you wake up Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. but you want to sleep until 8 on the weekend. You can do that. My work schedule, though, that wouldn't work, because my work schedule, I have to wake up earlier on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't. But my alarm clock still comes on at the same time, and I have to shut it off. But that's how you set it. Go up to the time here. Oops. Set the time. You can do it this way. Set the minutes, etc. That's how you can set that. Home, get you back out of there. Or get you back to music. Back takes you back to the time. Home lets you select music, videos. I don't have any video on here. I don't think there's any video on here. Pretty sure there's no video on this USB. No, there's not. But it will play video files, but it will only play standard definition. It won't play HD. So if you've got files encoded at high definition, you've got to transcode them back down to MPEG or an MP4. Of course, now I selected video. It's now going to scan the 64 gig card, which is one that's actually higher than they recommend. They don't recommend using higher than a 16 gig USB stick. And it needs to be formatted. I think it's in FAT32. It's all it supports, which is what this one's in, because this has just got music on it. But same with the, they don't recommend higher than 16 gig, just because, well, come on, 16 gigs, you're going to have tons and 1 or 2 gigs is probably more than enough for the music you're going to listen to. But anyway, I got to wait for this thing to finish searching here. Otherwise, it won't let me do anything. So note to self, don't search for video if there's no video on the USB stick and it's a big USB stick. Otherwise, you'll be waiting a few minutes. Home. Music. If I press down the enter key here, I can search from internal memory, memory card, or USB. In this case, I've got USB on, and it has all the music that's stored on the unit. And then you pick a song you want. Volume control on the top will stop that from playing. Background photos, this is where you can pick from internal memory, memory card, and USB. Give you a list of all your photos that you've downloaded onto the unit itself. To download photos, that's also easy. Back to home, go to import. You can import from a memory card or USB stick. I've already done it, so there's nothing on here to do, but if I was to import from USB, I'd select there, press USB, or from an SD card, press the memory card, and then all the photos will show up, and you can import up to 50 at a time. So if you want to do more than 50, you got to do them in blocks of 50, as I found out, because I've put more than 50 photos on here. Here's a feature called Fun Wake Up. So you select Fun Wake Up, you'll pick a photo, and then you can go on there, start recording. You can record 3 of them. And you say, "Wake up, you lazy ass. Get your ass out of bed now." "Wake up, you lazy ass. Get your ass out of bed now." So, and then you can say, have it display a photo while you're doing it. Right now, it's just, this is one of the photos that came stock with the unit when it was new. And you bet you just pick one of your photos. I'll just pick that one for the heck of it. And say yes. Okay. So now I've just copied that photo into memory slot number 1. There we go. So now I've just set photo for Fun Wake Up. If I select Fun Wake Up, it will play the message and display that photo on the screen. Just simple as that. Radio. Let's get up to the radio here. And you can turn the radio on and off with a button over here. But if I can select it this way, and I haven't preset anything on here yet, but you can preset your favorite stations. I've only preset 1, as you can see. It is stereo. This is my test transmitter. So it'll play your FM stations. To play AM, I'll have to hook up an AM antenna, which I don't have, so I'll just use a roll of solder, stick that in the back here to where it says AM antenna. One of them's ground, and the other one's the antenna side. It's supposed to use a like a loop antenna, but I don't have one, so this will have to do. Band. So I just piece of wire. It's not going to work that well, but it works. Again, there's not a heck of a lot on AM radio here these days. With the proper antenna, I'm sure it's going to work a lot better, because again, I'm just using a piece of solder, and the radio stations around here are not all that strong. The 2 strong stations that we had was 1040 and 1410. They were the closest transmitters, but they've gone off the air. So 11:30.
Noon in shops on the 1. I'm searching on babe.
It's time to talk back.
Anyway.
Come on now, you know.
AM, FM band. That's pretty much the radio function. We can go over to the iPod function now. If I hit the iPod button, iPod or iPhone, it'll switch over to that, and I can bring this one up here now if I unlock it. I got to control it from here. That's the only problem. So I switch over to iPod. If I play music on here, it will play through here. Might help if it's plugged in. I can control it from this control, and it tells me what it's playing. Also displays on there. One nice thing about using the iPod is that, and even though this is old, it still supports a few. Oh, my email looks like it's still working on here. That's amazing. Oh, this is from 2019. I got some radio players on here. Let's just see what I can get. I know I've got TuneIn Radio. Does TuneIn Radio still work? I think this one still works. A lot of these apps no longer work because the operating system on here is too old. And I don't know, stream. Yeah. One station I want to listen to I can't get because it says a stream error. Local radio. Let's see what I can pull in here. Would any of these ones work? Not that I would really ever want to listen to local radio because I can get that from the radio itself. But will this one play? Unknown stream error has occurred. Isn't that weird? I know that if I go down, I've got some favorites in here that I used to listen to. This one will work. That's a good station. I listen to this one quite a bit. So that still works. And I don't know if any of the other apps work on here anymore just because this thing is so old. I'd probably get a message on this one telling me that I have to update the app. And the app won't update anymore because, again, yeah, you see, can't connect to it. Got to update the app, but the problem is the app won't run on this version of software, and there's no more versions of software available. So that's what made this thing go so cheap, because unless you're going to play music you've already got on your old device, you're not going to be able to do much with it. Haven't tried this one. This one might work. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Probably gonna timeout. That's what's going to happen. Yeah, not responding. Huh, surprise, surprise. Of course, if you try to connect into the App Store, you just get that because they no longer support this old device. I'm surprised this thing actually even still works. But it does. The fact that it's no longer updated, which is a problem, but that's the way we're headed. So it makes a great little piece of technology, such as just kind of obsolete. Although I didn't pick it up to use it with the iPod. I picked this up to use as a desk clock, basically. Read the time from across the room, and it's got an AM/FM radio in it, which is good enough for me. And if I want to play music, well, I don't need to play it from my iPod. I could, but why? I can just plug my USB stick into the back or an SD card and play it that way, which is what I intend to do. Just for fits and giggles, I figured I would tap software update, and it tells me that iOS 5.1 is available. Oh, what the hell? Let's see if it will do anything. Probably brick my iPod, but we'll see whether it will do anything. Maybe that'll fix some of the problems that I was having. Again, I haven't turned this thing on in so many years. It's been... I have another Sony radio that I bought that I paid a lot of money for, and that was the one, I think, the straw that broke the camel's back, because I probably paid a couple $100 for this. But it's just a speaker that plugs into, and it's got a subwoofer and a radio. We've just basically used it as a radio for years. Little LCD screen that tells you the time, but it's tiny. But it had really good sound, and it had a subwoofer, so it had a really, like a wireless subwoofer that had really good sound. And I've had it in my kitchen for probably for close to 20 years. I used to use this on it to listen to internet radio all the time, and then the internet radio stopped, and at the time there was no update. Now it looks like it's going to take an update. We'll see what happens, but I used to listen to internet radio all the time on it, and I bought this speaker so that I get really good sound. And then, of course, Apple changed to a new connector. That's why I don't have an iPhone, because when the iPhone 4 came out, I think it was the iPhone 4, they changed the connector, and it was no longer compatible with the docking station that I already had. And for that reason, I gave Apple the raised middle finger and switched. I was using BlackBerry at the time, and I switched over to Android. But I would have had an iPhone had they had not screwed me around with the hardware I already had to play my iPod on, had they continued with the original connector, I probably would have stuck with them. But because they screwed everybody up by changing to different connectors, then that kind of gave me the reason to not buy their products. Even after waiting almost an hour and the update completing, it still won't do anything more than it did before. Yeah, it'll still run the few tune-in streams that still work, but most of them don't. Like, I can't even get Vancouver's Sea Fox to play, but I can still listen to a few of the ones that I had programmed in from before. Will this one play? Some of these will play, others won't. This one's going to play, looks like.
608 in partnership with Gear Up.
So I can still listen to a few of those stations that are part of TuneIn that works. Other than that, useless. There. That's the nice thing about the docking station is you can just stuff it in the side. You don't have to use it. Some of them have got the dock right there, and it's right there in view. Even if you're not using an iPod or an iPhone, you can't get rid of it. At least this one here, you can get rid of it and use this just as a digital clock, radio, and of course play music on either the SD card or from a USB stick or even a memory stick. I could put one of those old Sony memory sticks in. Anyway, there it is. When I start playing music, if I want to have a photo displaying, I can hit the display button, and that will bring back up a photo with the time, and then again, preset will take me to the next track. The problem, and this is one thing I've just noticed, is that there's no way to random play. So it's just going to play the music in the order it was recorded. So that's an issue. At least if I plug my iPod in, I can select shuffle play on here. And then it will play in a random order. And I can do the same here with the display. I can put pictures on, play music in random from my iPod. It's been a long time since I loaded this up. It's got 2,181 tracks on it. It's not full. But again, I can't even load any more music onto here because even though I do have the cable, the version of iTunes that I have won't run. It won't load. So again, useless. Useless. That's why I gave up on Apple. Anyway, I figured I would just show off this little fancy. It's basically a photo frame that stands up, but it displays a time, and that makes it completely useful. Nice digital clock. Display my photos in the background. I got it for $10, so I figure I did okay. Thanks for watching.